The Formula One sprint about to get underway here, and Kimi Antonelli sitting there on the grid. His nerves will be going through the roof. He has to try and keep calm though, because the run down to turn one, as you can see, it is extremely wet. It is about to be really fun. Let's see who takes pole. The Formula One sprint is here this weekend, and it's a sprint round, and we all know where it is. It is here at not Mexico. It is here at Miami here this weekend, round 6, and it's a sprint weekend for the Formula One Grand Prix, and it is practically 5.412 kilometers, and it's 19 laps, and the track record set yesterday by Kimi Antonelli, 126.4. 3.5 meters in elevation, 355 kilometers an hour. Top speed, 320 miles an hour in miles. No mandatory pit stops, but I reckon there will be a bit of strategy playing into this here. There is no rain. There is not I think there's I think it's sprinkling, but it's not enough for everybody to have ponchos out. And which is showing, because if there's no ponchos, then you should be good. Let's take a look at the starting grid. For the sprint here today, it is Ollie Behrman and Yuki Tsunoda. Ollie Behrman not really happy with that after crashing in practice. Jack Doohan and Gabriele Bortoleto down there in P17 and P18. Jack Doohan was upset with his qualifying position. Carlos Sainz and Lance Stroll, P15 and P16. Carlos Sainz was also not happy with his, so was Lance Stroll's. Pierre Gasly and Liam Lawson, these two were not, they weren't disappointed with this. Nico Hulkenberg in P11, Esteban Ocon. Nico Hulkenberg was able to get into sprint qualifying too. Isaac Hadjar in P9 and Fernando Alonso in P10. We have Alexander Albon in P8 and Lewis Hamilton in P7. So good job from Hamilton to be up there. Leclerc P6, George Russell P5 on the grid. Meanwhile, his teammate is a bit further up. Max Verstappen in P4, Lando Norris in P3, the two championship protagonists from last year sitting P3 and P4 on the grid. Oscar Piastri P2 and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, the youngest pole sitter, on pole position for the sprint here at Miami. We've got 60 minutes of time certain to run by. It's going to be 19 laps. It's going to be an epic sprint. Max Verstappen on the grid. He's going to be getting ready for this one. Lando Norris starting third on the grid. He's starting P3. Not his best qualifying position, but he's going to be P3 for this one. He can try and make some moves. Everybody is on the intermediate tyre. Kimi Antonelli, P1, the youngest pole sitter. There is to man. The formation lap will be started behind the safety car. So this race will start behind the safety car, which is important. So this will give everybody a good chance to get used to the circuit. Now, of course, it has been a while since the last support race was out there. It was nearly 1 hour ago, American time. So it was F1 Academy. So the track is going to be a lot wetter than what it was earlier. It's time for the sprint here in Miami as all the cars get off the line and go off for their formation lap and try and get some heat and temp into these intermediate tyres here. But we're not going to be too far away from the start here. See there, we're racing around the Hard Rock Stadium, and that is a pretty cool graphic there, watching over the top of Hard Rock Stadium. And I commented about it in sprint qualifying. and you could practically just sit in the stadium and just watch it from there, which is quite cool. And then there's a tennis court as well, which they say they are playing the Formula One here this weekend. But there's a tennis court just off to the left-hand side down there, which you can watch from. Now, I reckon, I genuinely don't reckon you won't need to go onto the dry tyres here, because the track is just wet. I mean, it's just straight wet in this. So there's, at this point, you're not going to get the laps that you need on the dries. The Inters will dry the circuit up a lot faster than what you think. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting race. The safety car leading the field around for the start of this race. So we're going to be starting for the formation lap under safety car. And then I think we're going to green flag straight after that. So this is going to be interesting. Kimi Antonelli on pole position. Does he get off the line? That is the real question. Piastri over radio. Visibility even in P2 is terrible, and a big driver and a big river in turn 10. So visibility is poor in P2, and it's so that's showing the amount of water that's on the circuit. So you go offline once the track dries up here, and it could be all over for you. So this race will start under safety car. That is the important note here. And we have 60 minutes of time certain. So even if we did go time certain in this race, we still have, from now, 60 minutes. Here's Max Verstappen. What's happened to him here? So this is down at... Oh, okay. So that's just poor visibility. Now, that's going to be a problem because I don't think he'll be able to start now from where he wanted to. Christian Horner watching on as well from the pit garage, not from the pit wall. And he will take note of that. And he will know now the conditions are no good. Kimi Antonelli. I can't see anything behind the safety car. So there's the conditions are far from atrocious in this. Spray and it's just spray. Like, look at the spray just coming off the Inters here. So yeah, there's just so much water on the circuit here. So starting procedure suspended. There we go. So this is important. We have the only person that's on with the wet tyres at the moment is Carlos Sainz. So that could either go horrible for him, or it could go absolutely perfect and he could make his way up the field. Or it could go horrible. Visibility is genuinely the worst I've ever had in a race car. There you go. So race control have called it. It's a red flag here. So this race will be suspended for the start of this one. And it's showing because of how bad the visibility is. And inside the safety car there, these two people have a lot of pressure under them in this one. Behind the Aston Martin safety car. A lot of pressure. And the red flag has been called. And race control think it is unsafe with the poor visibility out there. Lewis Hamilton actually had to drop back from the car behind so that you could actually see the apex of the corner. You can just see there. This might now, if this race actually got underway, Carlos Sainz probably would have been in a good position. But the red flag has been called and the conditions are just too treacherous. So what they're going to do here is they're going to get some track cleaners out there and hopefully try and clean up the circuit strong. I have a problem with my visor. I think all the water is going off between the tear off. So that's a problem. That is definitely a problem. So red flag called and the teams are now scrambling and getting everything ready, maybe to throw on the wet tyres here, because even the Inters were not good enough. So we're now running 57 minutes in time certain remaining. There's going to probably be not 19 laps in this race, 60 minutes of time certain, according to this. So probably not going to get all 19 laps in, but the red flag has been called for the start of this race. And Fernando Alonso on screen there, and probably the best time that these pit cameramen they'll get their money's worth, I can tell you that much. But Fernando Alonso there. This is going to be interesting. Now, what do they do in terms of tyres? Do they stay on the inters or do they go to the wets? I reckon it's not worth it. Let's stop another video. We can change the headrest again. I'm way too far back. So, Verstappen not happy with the headrest. He's way too far back in the seat. And you want to try and get as comfortable as you can, especially for the sprint. Yeah, but the visibility is so poor, and it's been shown there by Verstappen. Leclerc immediately jumped out of the car. So, enjoying the conversation as well. Salesforce hashtag Miami Grant hashtag Miami GP. Join the conversation. Leclerc talking with the team, and he's immediately not happy with the visibility of the circuit, but that is not looking good for the sprint, and immediately they've got track cleaners out there trying to dry the circuit up a little bit, try and get any standing water that is on the circuit off the circuit. So there will most likely be a warning from race control as if there will be any restart. There probably will be, but I see Fernando Alonso going onto the wet tyres, so that's interesting. Here is Leclerc. Sorry, this is Hamilton. He's pulled over to the left-hand side, so that's showing how bad you can't see the car in front. That is absolutely atrocious. So he cannot see the car in front of him. And just showing there just how bad these conditions are. So helmet cam showing absolutely everything you need to see there. There's so much water that this race's sprint has not been able to get underway. Yuki Tsunoda down in P20. And I think I see some wet tyres going over for that team. But won't be good news there for especially people like Carlos Sainz. Now it's going to be over to the Inters for him, most likely. Now Williams team, but that is Ollie Behrman. He's down in P19 for Ollie Behrman. Bit of a struggle for him heading into this race. Teams are only allowed to change tyres, not allowed to make any adjustment setups. There is Oscar Piastri getting on what looks to be a bit of a so that's a bit of a, this looks like a cool suit, but it isn't actually a cool suit. So there's Liam Lawson there having a drink and speaking with his engineer about this one as the fans continue to come in here for the sprint. But at the moment, the sprint is not going to get underway at this point with the standing water that is on the circuit at the moment. Lando Norris jumping out of his car, which is just showing here that the sprint a bit further away from getting underway, but the red flag is called and all drivers sitting out in the pit lane I will be back when the sprint gets back underway. Okay, so the sprint returns here as I return here after the sprint has been confirmed. 12:25 local time over in Miami. But big news: Leclerc has hit the wall coming out of turn 16, and Rose laughing at something. I'm not sure what she would be laughing at, but Leclerc has hit the wall coming out of turn 16. So big news there, but the sprint is soon to get back underway. Here as teams start to get back in their suits and also get back in their cars here. So 12:28 local time. So yeah, that's going to be in around about, I'm going to say 5-6 minutes time from now. But this is important for absolutely everybody out there, especially on the pit lane here. But sprint will soon get underway very, very soon. I'll get back to you when the cars start to head out of the pit lane. But the sprint will be starting in about 5 minutes. See you then. Okay, so after quite a hefty delay, we are about to bring the cars back out onto the circuit, about to get racing once again as we race around the Hard Rock Stadium. Cars are going to be released in around about 30 seconds from now. It's Toto Wolff watching on. Cars will be released in 30 seconds. So important for Kimi Antonelli to keep his nerves down in this one. But cars are going to be released and the green light will turn green at the end of the pit lane here. And everybody now should be on the intermediate tyre. The wet tyre will most definitely not make it to the end of this race. I have seen track cleaners out there, which is proving that the circuit is much, much drier than what it was. Kimi Antonelli moves out of the pit lane, and we will start under safety car conditions. So this is going to be an important race. Now, I cannot see the safety car, which doesn't mean we won't be starting under a safety car. I'm going to guess there's going to be a formation lap and then a start. Oh, there you go. There's the safety car. There's going to be 1 or 2, maybe 3 laps under the safety car here. And then we will go racing for the sprint, which is probably the most important part to this. The track is much drier now. This is going to be important. So this spray is not as bad, but track cleaners have been on the circuit for about 10 or 11 laps, cleaning the circuit a lot more. But you see, there's just a few little puddles now that are making it a little bit trickier, but there's still spray, and that is a problem for everybody. But you can see the McLaren engineers there watching along. But this is going to be interesting. We've got Kimi Antonelli on pole, followed by Oscar Piastri and two people that were fighting for the championship last year. It was Lando Norris and Max Verstappen fighting for the championship. Kimi Antonelli has a chance to get his first sprint win. He got his first sprint pole, the youngest sprint pole ever in a race weekend. This is going to be good. This is going to be real good. There's going to be a 2 or 3 laps, I'm going to guess, under the safety car. And if there isn't, then I am shocked. But this is going to be good. Verstappen there over the radio. So Verstappen saying conditions, asking about the conditions. He said these are raceable conditions. So that is good news. We won't be going any more safety car. I'm going to guess there's probably going to be 1 or 2 more laps under the Aston Martin safety car here, but a bit of a delay to the start of the sprint for 2025 at the Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix. But the race has now officially begun. We are now on lap 2. Piastri reporting over the radio. Probably something about the conditions of the circuit. Won't be surprised if he's talking about a few puddles that might be on the circuit, which there's no doubt about that. But most likely will be the fact that there are a few puddles, especially turn 4 and turn 5, even T1, if anything. But standing start. There you go. Race Control have called it a standing start. Will be the call from Race Control. And we will get a 16-lap race out of this. This is going to be good. Standing start. The safety car will roll off into the pits. Hopefully we won't see the safety car again. And we will get racing. The F1 sprint It's had about a 25-minute delay to this one. But in the end, we will get racing laps underway. But standing start as they make their way through the highway chicane section and then make their way back down the back straight. On board with the safety car, watching on from behind with Kimi Antonelli. He will hold his pace when the safety car drops off. He will then line up in his grid box, wait for the 5 lights, and then he will go once they go out. Peter Boddington on screen, the senior race engineer for Mercedes. This is going to be good. 18 laps. We have around about 15 laps of racing remaining. Andrea Kimi Antonelli holds his pace. It's going to be a standing start. See the teams there watching on inside McLaren. This is important. They have to get a clean start here. So does Kimi Antonelli. He can't bail under pressure. But you heard Verstappen over the radio and Piastri as well over the radio saying these conditions are drivable. So this is going to be good. We haven't heard anything from Kimi Antonelli, meaning he's calm, cool, and collected. Ferrari fans there, Red Bull fans, and so with McLaren fans. Haven't heard anything from Kimi Antonelli. He's calm, cool, and collected. Getting rear temperature into those intermediate tyres. This is important. This is going to be good. F1 sprint. Kimi Antonelli on pole. Alongside, as we ride on board with Ollie Behrman, he's alongside Oscar Piastri. Yuki Tsunoda back down there in P20. His worst qualifying position so far. The grandstands are packed. We have a few more cars to line up on the grid. The tyres will immediately start to drop a bit of temperature, but they will still be hot. This is going to be good. Lights are on. 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go. It is F1 sprint. 5 red lights and away we go. And it is a beautiful start from Kimi Antonelli, who holds position down into turn 1. They make contact and Kimi Antonelli's off the road. Heading into turn 1. He's made contact with Oscar Piastri. Antonelli tried to hold his line and immediately been pushed out wide. New race leader Oscar Piastri as they all funnel down through the fast part of the section. 5, 6 and 7. This is the fast bit of section of road. All the cars seem to get through well on low grip on a very low grip surface. Antonelli there, he will complain about that. He pushed me off. Antonelli tried to hold his line into turn 1. It didn't end up working. Everybody made it through. There's no spins. We haven't seen a yellow flag yet. But so far, so good. Piastri leads over Norris, Verstappen, Antonelli, Russell. As that is Antonelli covering off the line from Russell. Antonelli immediately struggling. He's fallen under pressure here. Tsunoda's made up 3 spots. Starting P19, he's made up 2 spots. Carlos Sainz just passed Hulkenberg up into P14. But so far, it's a good start. George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. What will the radio comms be between those two? What will happen? Is it just going to be fight to the death? Piastri leads over Norris. 1 second the margin. There's going to be a bit of heated rivalry that might go under investigation here for Oscar Piastri as to whether or not he loses that position and gets a penalty. A few people getting out of the spray of the car in front as there's a bit of a battle going on between one of the Williams. I'm going to guess that is Albon and Alonso looking up the inside of each other. Or that's Sainz and Gasly. Sorry, that was Sainz and Gasly looking up the inside. But so far, Yuki Tsunoda looking up the inside of Ollie Behrman. I'm going to guess he got that done because he had the inside run into turn 1. But so far, so good from everybody. They all got off the line. And it's looking good. You can see there's much less spray coming off these cars. It's always a good sign when you see that. But so far, Piastri leads 1.8 seconds that margin back to Norris. Piastri pushing immediately. Verstappen back 1.1 seconds. Then Antonelli, Russell, Hamilton, Albon, Alonso, Lawson, and Isaac Hadjar. in P10. Remember, points go to P8 in the sprint. Alonso holding on to those points, and Piastri holding on to maximum points, which is 8 points so far. As this is, at the moment, that's around the outside for Carlos Sainz on Esteban Ocon. Well, he's tried to go around the outside, didn't end up happening as they head through the chicane of the highway section. Here, Piastri over the radio. It's drying very quickly. So, Piastri there over the radio saying, drying really quickly, but there are a few still spots of the circuit where, especially down the back straight, where the tyres are, where the track is still quite wet. So, a lot of drivers immediately look over, and that is Carlos Sainz. Esteban Ocon moved over on Carlos Sainz there, but ended up letting him pass. They're going to be side by side, heading through turn 18 and 19. Esteban Ocon holds on to that position, but Oscar Piastri, the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 40.259, fastest lap so far. Esteban Ocon holding that position there because he saw Carlos Sainz. He looked up the inside. It didn't end up happening. Hamilton over the radio. The car won't turn. So Hamilton saying over the radio, the car won't turn. Struggling for turning for Lewis Hamilton. As he rises up at the moment. Kimi Antonelli, P4. Let's take a look at this restart. So, off the line, it was actually a good jump from both of them there. They were evenly matched as they went into turn 1. Piastri had a bit of a better start. Antonelli tried to hold his line into turn 1, and it just didn't end up working. He got pushed off by Piastri, but there's going to be two different sides to that. 0 to 200, it was 5.0 seconds reaction time for Kimi Antonelli. It's a beautiful start. Let's watch on board here from Lando. Lando might give us a different POV. You can see that Lando had to move over so he can get the spray in his eyes. But you can see that, yeah, that was a bit of a push. So Antonelli tried to hold his line into turn 1. It didn't end up happening. On board here with Ollie Behrman. Watching how bad this spray is as you head into turn 1. All you can see is the lights flashing from the car in front. Behrman was actually lucky there not to get any damage there because he was 3 wide into turn 1. Normally that doesn't happen. Normally it doesn't work. See the cars getting off the racing line, trying to cool down the inters here. So lap 1, turn 1 incident involving cars 12 and 81. So Kimi Antonelli and Oscar Piastri under investigation. Lap 1, turn 1. So that's important there because Piastri might have a smack on the arm for that one for forcing a car off the circuit. But it's Piastri so far. Nice. Verstappen, Antonelli, Russell, Hamilton, Albon, Alonso, Lawson, Hadjar. Lawson said, my visor is broken. I can't see. That's a bit of a problem for Lawson. If he can't see, you can see there the flap on the side of his. So there's no further investigation. There you go. Lap 1, turn 1 incident involving cars 12 and 81 of Kimi Antonelli and Piastri reviewed for no further action. Antonelli and Piastri will have 2 different sides to that story. Meanwhile, the Racing Bull cars are trying to squabble in a way for each other. Liam Lawson and Isaac Hadjar, 2 rookies into this season. Verstappen incident out of position. So that's because of the because he went wide. Actually, he went off the circuit and went wide. So Verstappen, that was noted. He started out of position there, but you can see there that is Liam Lawson trying to clean his visor because he cannot see. Of course, his visor is broken. And that's this battle between. This is now live footage. This is Liam Lawson and Carlos Sainz. This is Ocon and Carlos Sainz having a squabble between the two. You see the spray pushing up from the car in front. Carlos Sainz chasing Ocon here for 12th. This is an important battle for Carlos Sainz. This will move him up into 12th if he can make this position. Of course, points go to 8th for the sprint. You can see there, Ocon just seems to have a bit of better pace. Here's Verstappen. Here's his POV. So Verstappen's been noted for starting out of positions. There's no further investigation. Oh, so he has actually started over the box there. He's all four wheels, not two wheels, the front two wheels have started out of position. And that looks to be Kimi Antonelli, who has gone... Was that Kimi Antonelli off the road? I'm not sure what that was, but it seems as if that was Kimi Antonelli off the road down there. But he hasn't lost any positions from it. He has lost a bunch of time, though, back to Verstappen, who is 1.2 seconds up the road. But 1.9 seconds up the road from Norris is Piastri. And they're just taking control of this race here so far. Getting calmer and calmer as the race goes on here, as this is Carlos Sainz and Esteban Ocon. Carlos Sainz moves out, and that is good. He's got the slipstream, and he was able to get down the inside. Can he get the car stopped for the next corner? He cannot. Carlos Sainz cannot get the car stopped for the next corner. He was lucky not to go in the barrier and break his front wing, but he wasn't able to get the car stopped, brake too late, and he lost once again the position to Esteban Ocon. So Carlos Sainz struggling for brakes down there. Probably the brakes were a bit too cold. So that was not good, but he had the chance. But there is Kimi Antonelli trying to run away from his teammate George Russell. That margin is actually 3:10. No, sorry, that margin's 1 second, 1.1 seconds. So it's closed out. But the sun is out here at Miami. It is not wet down here at the end of the back straight. It is practically bone dry down here. It looks as if it's bone dry, but the sun has come out here around the Hard Rock Stadium. These inters will burn out quite quickly if there's no more rain, which I don't reckon there will be. But there's sun on the front side of the circuit, none on the back side. So that's where you can cool down your inters and not get as bad of tyre overheating. But Piastri's pulled away 3.1 seconds to that margin with 10 laps to go. Here, this is on board with George Russell. 8th gear, maximum speed, 220 kilometres an hour, trying to get the car stopped into turn 17. We've seen many people struggle with that so far, and it definitely has been a problem. He's Verstappen over the radio. My visor is just absolutely crap. I have no visibility. I don't know if it's coding or something. It's terrible. So that's Verstappen over the radio. He has absolutely no visor. He cannot see anything. So that's the main problem with that sort of stuff, is George Russell moves over to the left-hand side to try and find some water and cool down those inters. But there's dry line already forming, and it's quite rapid, that dry line. So it's especially heading through here. There's a dry line through there. And on the other side. So that's big. But see there, the dry line forming those wheel tracks. If you step outside that wheel track dry line, it can cause a bit of a problem a bit later on if you do step out. Piastri asking how the track is drying, but not as quick as what I thought. So the track is drying, according to Piastri, but it's not drying as quick as what he thought, which is an interesting point. Now, this battle's just sort of ramping up a little bit. Antonelli and Russell. Russell seems to be gaining a lot of his time through the highway chicane, which is important to know. 2.6 seconds that margin. Piastri's dropped off the pace. And it's 0.8 back to Verstappen. And then nearly, I'm going to guess, a second back, maybe less, to Verstappen. Back to Antonelli from Verstappen. See the wheel tracks down there at the final corner and the dry line that's ever so evident. But you can see there Antonelli going off racing line to cool his tyres down a little bit. Sainz over the radio. Right now, Inter is still faster but than a slick, but by a little bit. So, at the moment, people are thinking that the Inters will not make it to the end of the race. This is going to be good if there is a safety car here. If there is a pit stop in this race, then it will make it really interesting for this one. As you can see there, Verstappen getting off the racing line, trying to cool his tyres down, just like many people are so far. But it's Piastri, Norris, Verstappen, Antonelli, Russell, Hamilton, Albon, Alonso, your top 8. You can join the conversation on Salesforce, hashtag MyMeGP there, as this is Albon harassing Hamilton as he comes up through the top part of the circuit. This is the double apex right-hander. Russell over the radio. I've got a lot more pace here, guys. Okay, so George has a lot more pace than what Antonelli does. He feels as if he has more grip than what Antonelli would. Alex Albon, he's putting a lot of pressure on the 7-time world champion of Lewis Hamilton as he runs 8th gear, nearly 300 kilometers an hour, 190 miles an hour, as he runs down the back straight, nearly 323 kilometers an hour, and braking at the 150 meter board before turning the car into the left-hander, easing on the throttle ever so slightly. If you get on the throttle too early, you can spin, even though the track is drying quite rapidly. Meanwhile, from the off-board shot, it looks a lot drier. DRS has been enabled. DRS has been enabled. This is big. So, DRS enabled. They're saying, race control is saying here that it is time for the dry tyres. Who goes onto what tyre? Tsunoda in the box. Off the inters and onto the medium compound tyres. Yep, Tsunoda's in. So that's onto the mediums now for Tsunoda. He's come in. Piastri, 2 seconds that margin. It's dropped from 3.3 to 2 seconds. So Norris now, he's finding his pace. And the track, there's a big dry line now. There's a big dry line. Who comes in for what tyre? Tsunoda on the medium tyres. The first person to gamble on a dry tyre. Ollie Behrman. This is the helmet shot. And he's looked up the inside of one of the Alpines. From that point of view, it looked as if he was going to send him in the wall there for Ollie Behrman, but that never happened. 7 laps to go here in this one. Of course, you can vote the Overtake Award, f1.com/overtake, crypto.com. Thanks to Crypto for giving us the Vote Overtake Awards. Just search up f1.com Overtake Awards. Hamilton asking to box. So, Hamilton is in this lap and he's on the dry tyres. And he's gone on to the soft tyres. Now, is that the right call in these conditions? Is that the right call? Would that be the right call? I'm not completely sure there. But he's in and onto the soft tyres. Good pit stop there from the guys. 2 seconds, that pit stop. So quite quick. Hamilton there in the box, and now he's gambling on everybody else to come into the pit lane. Now it's going to be a bit sketchy for the first few laps on dry tyres, and feeling for the grip levels out there, but those softs will somewhat have some sort of grip. See the inters now, the treads are starting to wear away off these tyres, but Lando Norris, he's attacking Piastri here. So Piastri's dropped off a lot of pace. This could be big for this race. You see the wheel tracks there. Very important. They're quite grippy, those wheel tracks. And immediately Hamilton has overtaken Bortoleto. So showing maybe the dries and now the quicker tyre as DRS is now enabled. This is important. Norris might have a chance of overtaking for the lead of this race. Lewis Hamilton down in P15. We've got 6 laps to go in this one. And what tyres are these guys going on to? They're going on the medium tyres. They've got Red Bull and Mercedes getting set up. A bit of a strategic play coming in here. And there's yellow flag somewhere on the circuit. Medium tyres going on for... Oh! He's had big contact there with the Merc and the Red Bull of, well, it looks to be Verstappen and Antonelli. They've had contact. And I think Antonelli's got a broken front wing from that. That's big. Big. Antonelli I think might have a broken front wing. There's a lot of debris in the pit lane. Is that Verstappen that's got a broken front wing? He does. Oh, big incident. And that is, that's Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz, big crash. And a puncture to the rear left tyre of that car. So he's had contact with the wall somewhere. And he'd come in about a lap too early. Piastri's off the road and straight through and cut the chicane. So Piastri's cut the chicane down there on the highway chicane. Piastri's struggling now for grip. The dry tyres are now the quicker tyre out of all of them. McLaren, I think they're gambling too hard here. McLaren are way gambling too hard. Oscar, that margin, 0.8 of a second, 5 laps to go. 5 laps to go. When do McLaren's called it? Who's that for? I'm going to guess that's for Piastri. Piastri's in. He's struggling for pace. He can't be on those inters any longer. He's in. This is an important pit stop. And he's done it. Nice. Nice job there from the crew. And that is a very sad sight there for Carlos Sainz, who's trundling back into the pit lane with a big puncture on the rear left tyre of that car. Still a few people out there on intermediate tyres, but that will immediately change. Now, Piastri had way here, so he was actually in the lead. So he had pit lane advantage. He was able to come in first. Norris, though, he's now going to pick up his pace because the dry tyres are the quicker tyre. Norris over the radio. Probably complaining for the grip on those inters. But the track has now got a dry line on it. Nice new race leader, but not for long because he's going to want to come in this lap. Definitely. Piastri went onto the medium tyres. Those people that went onto softs, it probably won't be a bad gamble. But for people like Hamilton, who might be struggling for a bit of grip at the back end of the race, might be in a bit of trouble. He came in on lap 12. And the softs can do probably maximum 12 laps. So that's really interesting there. But there you go. That is nice onto the soft compound tyres. And that is a good play. Verstappen Antonelli incident, unsafe release. That's noted. Verstappen does have a... Oh my God, big crash. And that is Fernando Alonso in the fence and in the fence hard. Safety car's out. Safety car. Now, that's helped Norris. This has helped Norris. And Alonso saying immediately, I am okay. Alonso in the fence hard. Now, that's down at turn 17. The rear left wheel of that car is destroyed. The suspension is destroyed off of that car. There is big damage to Fernando Alonso's car. Safety car out. 3 laps to go. And I reckon we'll get a 1-lap dash for this race. But to be honest, I reckon it's Norris's race. I reckon this one goes the way of Norris. If anything. This one will most likely go the way of Norris here. That was a good call there from McLaren. And they didn't even know it was coming. But the safety car is out. And it's a big crash for Fernando Alonso at turn 17. Now, how he's done that is absolutely beyond me. And Verstappen and Antonelli, that incident, unsafe release, it is under investigation. So the unsafe release out of the pit lane is now under investigation. We are under safety car here at the Miami Grand Prix. Of course, you can join the conversation. Hashtag Miami GP. Take a look at a replay of what happened to the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. This is down at turn 17. Has he just lost the back end of the car? So this is through the chicane highway. Oh! Ooh, that's a dangerous spot to be. That is very much a dangerous spot to be. Carlos Sainz. And that's... Oh, actually, so that's what happened for him to actually end up in the box seat. To be in the pit lane. So that's what happened to him. And, okay, yeah. So that's explained that incident. Now, it's actually a downhill. Yeah, okay. That's quite big damage on the rear right-hand side of that car, and the rubber has fallen off. The rubber's fallen off on the pit lane entry. This is the unsafe release. This is important. So Verstappen, as he come out of the pit lane, bang, contact, and Verstappen has got no front wing no more. And Verstappen, they're saying, guys, come on. So Verstappen, he's pissed, and he's not very happy about that one. Verstappen, as he's come out of the box, he's had big contact with, and 10-second time penalty for Verstappen for an unsafe release. There you go. Antonelli saying, me, man. So he's not happy with any of what's just happened. The race start and Verstappen. This is what happened to Alonso. Oh, okay. So that's going to be a penalty most likely for the RB car. That's actually, I think that's Liam Lawson. That's had contact with Liam Lawson. Contact with Fernando Alonso, and his big damage on the front wing of Fernando Alonso. On board. And so he's braked into turn 13 here, and bang. Contact made, and yeah. So right front suspension gone, and the tyre ripped off the rear left-hand side of that car. Not good for Fernando Alonso to start his race. Lap 16 of 18 here as we continue at the Miami Grand Prix. It is Fernando Alonso in the fence. Lap 16 of 18. This is big. Verstappen, he is got a 10-second time penalty for an unsafe release out of the pit lane. Liam Lawson is also under investigation for making contact with Fernando Alonso, setting him in the fence, which is the exact reason why we are under the safety car here, so we can get that car retrieved. There will most likely be a one-lap dash here. We've gone 3 minutes overtime certain. Antonelli? I don't know what to say. So we've got 1 minute of time certain left. Kimi mini race, not relevant. So, Kimi there, he's not happy with himself. I mean, he knows it's the sprint. He knows, but he was on pole. I mean, not a good start to the Miami Grand Prix for Kimi Antonelli. He was the youngest driver to get pole position, and he's just bottled it here for this race. Lap 16 of 18, and Kimi Antonelli down in P11. Great job on the pit stop, guys. Mega job. So Lewis Hamilton happy with that pit stop there. And it's exactly what he needed, because he's up in P3 and he will get a podium here in the sprint, most likely. And this is showing how dominant McLaren are. And if anyone could possibly get close to McLaren, the closest person that can would probably be Red Bull. Red Bull are probably the only closest people that can get close to McLaren at this point. But that's big news. Big news for Verstappen. 10-second time penalty. That will drop him, if we finish under safety car, probably back behind or close to or back behind Antonelli, which is quite big. So there you go, that's the confirmation. 10-second time penalty for car 1, Verstappen, unsafe release. 10 seconds to his finishing time. And the engineers, Christian Horner, inside probably quite disappointed for that call there. But Fernando Alonso's car will be retrieved. I reckon we might get a one-lap dash. It might be a one-lap dash to the flag here, but of course, we have gone. Verstappen has got a 10-second time penalty for unsafe release in Antonelli. And there you go. So what about Piastri? No, nothing for him. Usual turn 1. So Antonelli saying good to know. And that's probably a very angry Kimi Antonelli after that one. Won't be happy. Very much won't be happy. Okay, so here we go. We'll get a 1-lap dash to the flag. And it's Norris, Piastri, Hamilton, Verstappen, Albon, Russell, Stroll, Lawson, Behrman, and Tsunoda. People just outside the top 10. Antonelli, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Hadjar, Ocon, Bortoletto, and Doohan. All outside the top 10. But there's people that have DNF'd. It is Alonso, Sainz, and Leclerc, all with damage. And I've said it all weekend. If you step offline, there's a wall right next to you and it will bite very much. There is the F1 Artist movie plus soundtrack, Girl Rose, safety car ending. It's going to be a sprint, an actual sprint to the flag here. So the safety car is ending. We might see about 150 meter sprint to the flag here, but the happy faces for Lando Norris' crew here in the sprint, but he's just got to back it up in the qualifying. Of course, Norris back in Jeddah, he DNF'd in qualifying. He ended up starting P10, made his way back through the field. I think he finished P3. So yeah, close as close can get here, but Norris, safety car will be ending this lap. We'll get about 150 meter dash to the flag. Sprint leader is Lando Norris. We're on lap 18 of lap 18. And it's all just sort of falling his way here. Norris, he had more pace than Piastri as his tyres started to die off and he used too much of those inters and sort of overcooked him. But the safety car also, it came out at the right time. If the safety car didn't come out, Piastri would have jumped Norris. Yeah. I think also the other thing, Piastri and Norris practically had a 2-second pit stop each. So it was on par, but Piastri had the undercut. And if that was to happen, Lando Norris will win the Miami GP for the sprint, not for the actual thing. But green flag, and we will go racing for about 150 meters before you see Rose wave the checkered flag, and Lando Norris wins the sprint in, well, at least for today. And as we were saying, Verstappen drops back behind Antonelli, back behind Gasly, back behind Hulkenberg, he practically drops back to last at this point. But for Verstappen, P16, Lando Norris wins the sprint here in Miami. And there you go, even gone 2 minutes over time certain there. So red flag didn't really affect us here, but lap 18 of lap 18. And Lando Norris happy with that, most likely here. Good sprint win. And good for the team as well. But Zach Brown thanking the team for that awesome result. But they were quick, and they have been quick all season for Lando Norris. They will most likely be quick for the rest of the season. Who can even get close to McLaren at this point? I mean, it's going to be interesting. Who can get close to them, because nobody has really got close to them. Nobody except Verstappen. Red Bull are the only people that can get close to them in terms of results, but that's good for Norris. And of course, I'll be back in a little while. I'm just going to check what time I actually scheduled my next stream for, because I think I'm actually not sure what time I scheduled my next stream for. So I'm just going to check that for you guys real quick. But okay, so I'll be back in around about 35 minutes for F1 Academy, and then of course the rate, and then of course qualifying for Formula 1 from 1:30 my time, as Lewis Hamilton jumps out of his car, and so does Lando Norris there. But Good job from us. That is it from me here today. I'll be back in about 30 minutes' time for the F1 Academy's first race. See you then. Bye-bye.